I am one of 5 children, and we all have grown up and late teen children. They're everything from lawyers to accountants to welders to hairdressers, and everyone is happy. My sister Paula's daughter Amy is the most successful of the bunch. She's 22 and has recently graduated from one of the best universities in the world with a degree in biochemistry and started a job as soon as she finished her course. I don't dislike Amy, but she's always been trouble. I have a daughter the same age as her, Charlotte. When they were younger, Amy did a great job convincing Charlotte that she'd never been as pretty as Amy and once tried to push her out of a family photo because she wasn't pretty enough. When Amy graduated, Paula held a post-graduation party at her place, and Amy was the center of attention as she deserved to be, but ever since then, Paula has gone out of her way to make Amy the center of attention everywhere. Over the summer, my brother, his wife and their 2 kids went to a theme park. Amy wanted to go too, and Paula demanded they take her, for no other reason than that she's just graduated from X. Amy behaved like a brat the entire time, and Paula excused her behavior for the exact same reason. Amy smoked at my parents' house a few weeks back. I don't mind this, but they do, but once again Paula made them let her off due to her elite graduate status. The final straw came last weekend. My son Mark just got engaged, and we held an informal engagement party at our place. Paula, her husband Rob, and Amy were there, and Paula said about trying to convince me to let Amy play a big part in the wedding, which is a while away. Mark's fiancée Vicky barely knows Amy, and she will of course have her own people in mind for her bridal party. Paula said Amy deserves a big part because of her achievements, and also because she's so pretty she'd make the perfect bridesmaid. I was frustrated and told Paula that Amy's achievements do not mean she deserves special treatment and that being an elite graduate and pretty doesn't make her better than anyone else. I told Paula Amy was a spoiled brat who needs to get on with her life. Unfortunately, the music wasn't very loud and everyone heard. Amy heard and stormed away crying, and the whole family have been texting and calling me saying I was wrong for humiliating a child in public. Amy isn't a child, and pointing out the truth is not humiliation. Everyone's the idiot here. Amy's obviously done well for herself, but this doesn't warrant her intrusion on your life, be it brought on by her parents or her. That being said, you could have just refused letting her be a bridesmaid without making a huge scene which hurt Amy's feelings without her even being part of the conversation. In conclusion, I'd say that you shouldn't let your sister push Amy into your family's events and parties, but when it comes to her bragging, I'd say just let it happen and swallowed it up for want of a better word. Everyone's the idiot here, but also you are the idiot. Clearly her mother is being far too pushy, and this is completely up to Vicky and Mark. We don't know whether Amy herself has been asking to be in the party, and you immediately made it a personal attack on her. Side note, women are often assigned brat status much more than men of the same age, who have tried hard or who are deemed confident. You're calling her names, suggesting infancy 1 minute and then saying she's an adult the next. I hope you can be mindful of how much your attitude towards women in your life comes from within. Everyone's the idiot here, purely for that final bit. You almost hit a not the idiot. I think it was fair enough to tell your sister that actually her daughter doesn't get priority over other people for her academic achievements. But while it may not have been intentional, you did attack her daughter with the last bit, calling her a spoiled brat. Aside from being nasty when she was young, you haven't said anything about the daughter that would suggest she's a brat. It sounds like your frustration at your sister was partially misdirected at her daughter too. I'll be upfront. I have a sugar daddy arrangement with a great guy, let's call him Mark. Call me what you want, but I've a house in my name and have enough for me to stop working and live frugally for the rest of my life. I work in sales to pass the time in a highly sought after company. Because I don't need the extra money, I'm extremely alright with coming into work and leaving on time. I use all of my paid vacations too. Mark is not frequently in town, but when he is, I set aside time for him. This has rightly landed me nearer at the bottom of the company rankings amongst my peers. I do put in my 100% when I am in office, I just don't stay late or come in over the weekends, and I take all my vacation days. Unfortunately, this sticks out like a sore thumb in the company I'm in. The culture is one where everyone works mad overtime just to hit the incentive and performance bonuses. My colleagues have been making many snide remarks about how lazy I am, how my life will amount to nothing, and how much more I could be earning if I just worked harder. Because your career is everything, I guess. Just a note, many of them are living decently, but not enough to stop the mad dash. One day, we were out at lunch at a higher-priced restaurant. Bill came out to be $70 per pax, on a whim. I shocked that this particular group of colleagues asked me, but was happy to join the five of them, since it was a while since I went out with them. At one point in the convo, someone commented that we should do this more often because it was nice, and I agreed. Cue an offhand comment of "Oh, my name, are you sure you can afford that? We can go to a less expensive restaurant if you want," and I replied honestly this price was okay, as long as it wasn't that often. Then the bombshell "maybe you could, if you worked harder, like the rest of us" was dropped. I was so mad, I told them the truth, that I could retire, but was just working because I wanted to stay occupied, and because honestly, I liked doing the job. They probed more and made a correct inference that my money was from a sugar daddy. This for some reason set them all off. They said that I was a massive idiot for stealing the job from someone else who would have appreciated the opportunity to work in the company we were in. And that if I didn't want it I should get the hell out and free up the space. They then started rumors in the office about what a street worker I was, not even the right insult, and they were sure I was sleeping with the bosses to keep my job. I wasn't. Good grief, so I reported it to HR, and the key instigator got a recent promotion removed. I am now even more so the social pariah amongst that group. Did they have a point though? Am I the idiot for taking up a job I don't really need and depriving someone else of that opportunity? You're not the idiot, but you're not the brightest bulb either. Did you somehow think that letting your coworkers know you're a street worker would endear you to them? I mean, you're doing nothing wrong by working there, but come on. You had to be able to tell this is how it was gonna go once you gave them this information. I am not defending them at all, but this is so predictable. You must know better than me that some people have big issues with such kind of workers. Not the idiot. Plenty of people makes career choices based on what makes them happy, rather than purely focusing on money. People can think you're a street worker, hell really I guess technically you are, but if you're doing what makes you happy and gets you what you want, then hell what they think about it. You're doing what makes you happy, Mark is doing what makes him happy, the company had their reasons for hiring you, and has their reasons for not firing you. Not the idiot. I assumed you interviewed for the job and were chosen among a large pool of applicants. You got the job because you deserved it. Don't let those jerks bring you down. Although, if you are only there because you want to do something with your free time, I'd recommend finding a job with a better company culture where you don't feel bad all the time. It's not healthy for your mental health, and I believe that being surrounded by positive people helps uplift everyone, and vice versa. It's your life, just do you. I, 25, work in a big boxed retail store and have for about 5 years now. Our company does have a dress code, but not one that has ever been heavily pushed by our HR management in regards to some attire, logos on shirts, athletic pants, etc. About 3 weeks ago, I was pulled into the office by my direct manager in regards to my choice of pants. I usually wear either jeans or yoga pants, depending on the amount of physical work I'll be doing that day, and was told by him that it was no longer acceptable for me to be wearing yoga pants. Now, seeing as how we recently had a change up in management, I just assumed that they were finally pushing dress code policy and letting people know individually. I was totally fine with it, apologized, and said it wouldn't happen again, and moved on with my day. After a week had gone by, I mentioned it to one of my friends who was wearing yoga pants that day, as well as other guys wearing athletic gear, and she said no one had mentioned anything to her, and that she hadn't heard anything about it from anyone else. Confused, I casually mentioned it to a few other people, and all of them confirmed that nothing had been said to them. Annoyed, I went to our HR manager and asked her about the whole thing. She flat out told me the new rule was just for me. She said there had been complaints from female customers about my wearing yoga pants, that it was unprofessional, as well as comments from both female associates, saying I wore them for attention, and males, disgusting and derogative comments about my back, and that they decided to enforce dress code on me to protect myself and how customers saw our business. Disgusted and horribly embarrassed, I told her that singling me out would not make the situation better, and that as it is a company policy, it should apply to everyone. She told me she discussed that with management, but because they have allowed it for so long, staff would push back, and that it is not a hill they want to die on. My next shift at work, I showed up again in yoga pants and was pulled in again by management. They reminded me about our conversation from the previous week and threatened to send me home. I told them about the conversation I had with HR and refused to change my choice of clothing until it was mandatory store-wide. They told me this was only about me and not to concern myself with anyone else. I disagreed, said what they were doing was highly humiliating, and that if they continued to enforce that rule on just me, I would take it to our area HR manager. A few days ago, we received a store-wide communication stating that as a store, they would now be enforcing the dress code and anyone not following would be sent home without pay. Now, due to me mentioning it earlier to some of the staff, everyone picked up on it being me behind the email, and I've now been labeled a huge idiot by the store, with some of my friends calling me selfish by ruining it for everyone. Yoga pants have no place in the workplace unless you work in Lululemon, Planet Fitness, or Crunch. If you work in Macy's, Target or Sears, leave your yoga pants at home. Personally, I can't stand to see a woman in yoga pants that have bright red panties on, and they are noticeable. That's like seeing a guy sagging. Yoga pants at work are not professional and should not be worn at work unless you meet the requirements above. Nope, not the idiot in this case. I'm surprised they didn't send you home. I would have. Not the idiot. I've actually changed my workplace's dress code because previous management did that same crap, allowed some to wear jeans or yoga pants, while others remained dressed professionally. Granted, I took it to an all-casual workplace, and the staff was thrilled, but you can't say one person can't wear yoga pants or jeans, and that everyone else can. That's insane. Can you go above that person and file a complaint because that's insane? I see everyone saying it's hard to believe HR management could be this bad, or whatever, but the only thing that's hard for me to believe is how anyone could possibly reasonably think they're the idiot here. I get everyone likes to feel good about themselves by telling a story where they aren't an idiot for validation, and other people like to feel good by telling people that aren't idiots that they're not idiots. But that's not the point of the sub, so can we downvote more of these posts and upvote posts where they are the idiot? Some side info. My sister has 2 children, 4 years old, 2 years old, and is married. For the last 2 years, they barely made it to the end of the month, and all of the family know they struggle financially. Me and my partner are doing well financially and have no kids. 2 weeks ago my sister called me and asked me to come to visit her, since there was something very important she needed to tell me. When I arrived she immediately broke down crying, telling me how she was pregnant again, and she doesn't know what to do. She didn't even tell her husband at that point, and I was very surprised to be the first person to know, since we're not really close. Anyway, she continued saying that they don't have the means to support another child with all the debt they already deal with. I tried to calm her as much as I could, saying that there will surely be some solution to handle the situation. After a while, she told me she looked up how much abortions cost, and that even if she wanted to, she could not pay for it at the time. So I basically offered that if she decides to abort, I would take care of all medical bills coming from that procedure. She asked me if I could afford that, so I told her she does not have to worry. Since I don't use up all my money every month, I'm usually able to put some into savings, and it was okay for me to put 2 of my monthly savings into her procedure if she decides to have it. She thanked me and told me that she needs time to think about it. 4 days later she asked me to come visit again when her husband is home, so we could discuss how to go about it. I drove there at the same evening. They greeted me and her husband told me that he's really happy that I decided to help them in a tough time like that. She told me how she thought about what I said and she wanted to accept my offer. However, she didn't want the abortion, but suggested that I should give them the money for the abortion, as well as a little bit every month, since I don't spend all my money anyway. I was pretty much bewildered. I did not offer that. I told them straightforward that I will only give them money for the procedure, but won't be financially supporting them in any other way. Her husband blew up, telling me I'm an idiot for wanting to pay to kill his child, but not supporting them to make it live a good life instead. I was overwhelmed by the situation and left immediately after. My sister texted me the following days relentlessly about how I don't love her if I don't support her decision, and how I'm forcing her into the abortion. They also told the rest of the family, which are also firm to believe I'm a massive idiot in the situation, because I don't need all that money to live, and I could easily support them. Not the idiot, cut her out and block them. You made an incredibly generous offer and they are being extremely entitled. It's not your job to support their children. If they are already living beyond their means, they'll continue to do so and continue to have more children while expecting you to supplement their income. If they don't take precautions, then that's on them. If needed, make up a bunch of new expenses and hide your money. Let your family think you've become broke too. Not the idiot. Your sister has made a series of life decisions, none of which entitle her to your money. You may need to go no contact until she understands the very definition of healthy proper boundaries. She is free to take action every single day to improve her family's financial decisions. One quick example, she can still be a stay-at-home mom, and when her husband gets home, she leaves every night to work a job. There are so many things that she could do to change her financial situation. Don't be manipulated or guilted into giving her money. Not the idiot. Wow. Your family is super entitled. I'm not sure why they feel it's your responsibility to support your sister and her spawn when they can't afford it. Like, I get that it is her choice. I definitely feel like this is irresponsible of her and her husband. If your family are all up in wadded panties, tell them to pony up the money and stop blaming you for your sister's poor life choices. Where did she even come to the conclusion that you would support them for having another child? My son, 10, made a pretty good friend, 10, within the last school year. They are pretty inseparable and do everything together. I would arrange playdates for the mom, saying I'd pick both boys up from school, and when I'd get there, I'd find out the mom had also made me responsible to pick up the boy's younger brother, 5, too. She says that his feelings get hurt if he also doesn't have a playdate. When the little boy comes over, my son and his friend tire of him quickly. They don't want him to play with them, and while I try to encourage group play, it's just a lot on them. They want to play with different things with him. Typically, the little boy ends up following me or my older daughter around. This happened quite a few times throughout the school year. I thought it might stop in the summer, but when I went to pick up the 10-year-old, the 5-year-old was ready to go too, and how could I say no to him when he was all ready? He's just a kid and it's not his fault his mom is doing this. If I try to talk to the mom, she just says that the little brother gets insanely jealous and that he loves coming to my house. My son overall doesn't mind him coming, so long as he stays out of my hair and I can manage it. Now, my son is having his 11th birthday party. He's having a simple birthday sleepover with a few friends, including the older brother of this 5-year-old. I talked to the mom and said that it was just for the big boys, and please don't tell the 5-year-old he could come. I'd be too busy that night to play buffer. She got really offended and tried to say they were a package deal. I gently explained that it couldn't continue. She finally relented, but said that her son was going to be very hurt. Am I being an idiot here? I feel bad, but I feel she's the only one setting her son up for failure here. Not why I said he couldn't come, my son doesn't want him there, and I just don't have to watch him. Not the idiot. She is using you for free daycare. It's nice that the 5-year-old likes your house. It is also not your problem. It is her job to help her son manage any feelings he has about not being included in Big Brother's friend group. Make it clear to the mom that, unless specifically stated otherwise, all invitations that her older son receives from your household are for the older boy only. Be very firm about holding this boundary with her. Children are a package deal for the parents that made them, not for the families of their children's friends. I'm really sorry that the kid your son became best friends with has a bad mother. This is really awkward for you and I feel bad for you. The mother needs to understand that just because the little brother isn't happy doesn't mean he gets whatever he wants. You should not let the little brother attend the party, and if things blow up and there is drama, just understand that it's the other mother's behavior destroying the kid's friendship, not yours. Not the idiot.